The barbell curl is the classic starting point for building bigger biceps. It mainly targets the biceps brachii, the two-headed muscle on the front of the upper arm. This muscle's main job is elbow flexion, as bending the arm, and supination, which is the outward rotation of the wrist. When you curl a barbell, both of these actions are at play, making it one of the most direct ways to train the biceps. The setup is straightforward. Stand tall with your feet shoulder width apart, grip the bar about shoulder width, and keep your elbows tucked by your sides. Curl the bar upward in a controlled arc until your biceps are fully contracted, then lower it slowly. The lowering phase, called the eccentric, is just as important as the lift, because research shows eccentric loading stimulates high levels of muscle growth. One of the biggest advantages of barbell curls is progressive overload. Since both arms are working together, you can handle more weight than with dumbbells. Beginners often start with just the bar, about 20 pounds, while experienced lifters may build up to 95 pounds or more. Over time, and just like with any muscle, the process of adding small amounts of weight, called progressive overload, forces the biceps to adapt and grow. But strict form is the key. Many people ego lift by swinging the bar or leaning back to move heavier weight. This shifts tension away from the biceps and onto the lower back or shoulders. To keep the exercise safe and effective, keep your elbows close to your sides, your core tight, and move only at the elbows. Done correctly, the barbell curl is one of the most efficient ways to add both thickness and strength to the arms. It's simple, scalable, and has remained a staple in bodybuilding and strength training for decades because it works. The dumbbell curl is one of the most versatile exercises for the arms. Like the barbell curl, it mainly targets the biceps brachii, but with dumbbells, each arm works independently. That means no stronger side can cover for the weaker one, making it easier to spot and fix imbalances. The movement is simple. Stand tall, hold a dumbbell in each hand with palms facing forward, and curl them upward until your biceps are fully shortened. Slowly lower the weights back down under control. Unlike a barbell, dumbbells also allow for natural supination, turning the wrist outward as you lift. This twisting motion is one of the biceps' main jobs, and it increases activation through the top half of the curl. Why does it work so well? Research shows that free weight curls with a supinating motion produce high levels of biceps activation. The freedom of dumbbells also reduces joint strain, since your wrist can rotate into the most comfortable position instead of being locked into a fixed bar path. The main mistake to avoid is rushing the movement. Swinging the weights or using momentum shifts the work away from the biceps. To get the best results, keep your elbows close to your sides, curl in a smooth arc, and focus on squeezing at the top of every rep. In all, dumbbell curls aren't flashy, but they're the cornerstone of bicep isolation. With endless variations and direct activation, they build both size and shape better than almost any other move. The hammer curl is a bicep variation that shifts more of the work to the brachialis, the muscle that sits underneath the biceps, and the brachioradialis, a large muscle of the forearm. Training these muscles makes the arms look thicker from the side and adds that dense, solid look many lifters want. To perform it, hold a dumbbell in each hand with your palms facing each other, like you're holding a hammer. Keep your elbows tucked close to your sides, curl the weights upward until your arms are fully flexed, then lower them back down slowly. Because the wrists stay in a neutral position, palms facing in, the stress on the wrists is lower than in standard curls, making this a joint-friendly option. Why does it work? The biceps' two main jobs are bending the elbow and rotating the wrist. In hammer curls, the wrist doesn't rotate, so the brachialis and forearms step in to help lift the load. Over time, strengthening the brachialis pushes the biceps up higher, making the peak appear more pronounced, even though the muscle itself is beneath the biceps. Science on arm training shows that using different grip positions, supinated, palms up, neutral, palms in, and pronated, palms down, recruits different muscles. Hammer curls take advantage of that neutral grip to balance development across the whole arm, not just the biceps. The most common mistake is letting the elbows drift forward, which turns the curl into more of a shoulder lift. Keep the upper arms locked by your sides and move only at the elbows to keep tension where it belongs. It's not a show-off exercise, but it's a crucial one. If your goal is complete arm development, hammer curls fill the gap that regular curls leave behind. They build not just size, but function and forearm strength too. The preacher curl is a strict bicep exercise designed to take momentum out of the movement and isolate the arms. It mainly targets the biceps brachii, especially the lower portion near the elbow, and also works the brachialis, which adds thickness underneath the biceps. The setup involves sitting at a preacher bench with your upper arms resting on the angled pad. Holding a barbell, easy bar, or dumbbells, you start with your arms extended. Curl the weight upward until your biceps are fully shortened, then slowly lower it back down. Because your arms are pinned against the pad, you can't swing your shoulders or use your back. All the tension stays on the biceps. What makes the preacher curl valuable is the long range of motion and constant stretch at the bottom. Research on muscle growth shows that training a muscle in its lengthened position creates strong hypertrophy signals. In preacher curls, the biceps are fully stretched at the bottom, then forced to contract hard to lift the weight back up. It's best to use moderate weight here. Going too heavy often leads to bouncing the bar off the pad or cutting the range short, which reduces effectiveness and increases injury risk. Instead, focus on slow, controlled reps and squeezing the biceps at the top. The preacher curl is one of the best tools for building arm size with strict form. It teaches control, eliminates cheating, and gives the biceps a deep, burning pump that's hard to match with other exercises. It's not a mass builder like heavy barbell curls, but for strict form, constant tension, and sculpting the biceps, the preacher curl remains a favorite. The concentration curl is one of the purest isolation moves for the biceps. By locking the elbow against the inside of the thigh, it removes almost all momentum and forces the biceps brachii to do the work alone. This makes it an excellent exercise for improving the mind-muscle connection. The ability to actually feel the biceps contract and squeeze through every rep. The setup is simple. Sit on a bench with your legs apart, hold a dumbbell in one hand, and rest the back of that arm against the inside of your thigh. From a full stretch at the bottom, curl the dumbbell upward in a controlled motion. Squeeze hard at the top, then slowly lower it back down. Because the arm is locked in place, there's no chance to swing or use momentum. Every rep is pure biceps work. What makes this exercise so effective is the peak contraction at the top. With the arm positioned away from the body, the biceps are shortened as much as possible, which creates a strong squeeze. Studies on muscle activation show that single arm curls like this produce very high biceps recruitment, especially when performed slowly and with focus. The downside is that you can't use as much weight as with barbell or dumbbell curls, but that's the point. This is about quality, not load. Most lifters benefit from sets of 10 to 15 reps with moderate weight, concentrating on tension and control rather than numbers. The concentration curl may not build maximum strength, but for shaping the biceps, improving control, and creating that iconic peak look, it's one of the most valuable exercises you can add to your routine. The incline dumbbell curl is one of the best exercises for hitting the biceps through a full stretch. By lying back on an incline bench, usually set at about 45 degrees, your arms hang behind your torso instead of at your sides. This extended starting position lengthens the long head of the biceps, the part that runs along the outside of the arm and contributes most to the bicep peak. To perform it, sit back on the bench with a dumbbell in each hand, palms facing forward. From the fully extended position, curl the dumbbells upward while keeping your elbows pinned and shoulders relaxed. Lower the weight slowly back to full extension, resisting the urge to swing. Why is this exercise so effective? Training the biceps in a stretched position has been shown in research to create stronger growth signals compared to starting from a shortened position. Because the incline curl begins with the arms extended behind the body, the long head of the biceps gets placed under constant stretch before contracting. This makes it one of the most efficient ways to target the outer biceps. The main mistake lifters make is letting the elbows drift forward, which turns the move into a regular curl and takes away the benefit of the stretch. Keeping the upper arms locked in place ensures the long head does the heavy lifting. Incline dumbbell curls are not about moving the heaviest weight. They're about tension and control. Moderate loads with slow, strict form will quickly light up the biceps and build shape that standard curls can't match. The Zottman curl is a smart variation that combines the benefits of two exercises into one. It trains the biceps brachii during the upward phase and the brachialis and forearm muscles during the lowering phase, making it a complete arm builder. Here's how it works. Start with a pair of dumbbells at your sides, palms facing forward. Curl the weights upward just like a regular dumbbell curl, focusing on squeezing the biceps at the top. Once you reach the top, rotate your wrists so your palms face down, then slowly lower the dumbbells in that position. The lowering phase, called the eccentric, places heavy stress on the forearms and brachialis. Why is this important? The biceps are strongest in the supinated position, palms up, but the forearms and brachialis are better trained with a pronated grip, palms down. The Zottman curl blends both in one smooth sequence, giving you the best of both worlds. Research on eccentric training shows that the lowering phase builds significant strength and muscle, especially in stubborn areas like the forearms. The most common mistake is rushing the eccentric. If you let the dumbbells drop too quickly, you lose the benefit of the exercise. Instead, keep the lowering phase slow, about 3 to 4 seconds per rep to fully load the muscles. Zottman curls are best with moderate weights for 10 to 12 reps. They won't let you go as heavy as regular curls, but they'll build stronger, thicker arms by targeting muscles that plain curls often neglect. Chin-ups aren't always thought of as a bicep exercise, but they are one of the best bodyweight moves for building strong, thick arms. By gripping the bar with your palms facing toward you, a supinated grip, the biceps brachii become heavily involved alongside the back muscles. To perform them, hang from a bar with your hands about shoulder width apart and palms facing you. Pull yourself upward until your chin clears the bar, then lower back down slowly under control. Unlike pull-ups, which use an overhand grip and shift more work to the lats, chin-ups put the elbows into a stronger, flexed position, which directly recruits the biceps. Why are they so effective? Science shows that the biceps fire harder in movements where the elbows bend under a supinated grip. Because chin-ups involve lifting your entire body weight, they provide progressive overload naturally as you get stronger and heavier. Advanced lifters can add weight with a belt or vest, turning it into one of the best compound mass builders for the arms. The key mistake to avoid is half-repping, only pulling halfway up or dropping too fast on the way down. The lowering phase, eccentric, is just as important, since muscles grow under stretch and tension. Keeping the motion smooth and full range ensures maximum bicep and back activation. Chin-ups won't isolate the biceps like curls, but they add serious pulling strength and build the arms in a way few isolation lifts can. If you can do them well, they're a must-have for a complete bicep routine. The cable curl is a controlled isolation exercise that keeps the biceps brachii under tension throughout the entire movement. Unlike free weights, where resistance is strongest at certain points and lighter at others, cables provide steady resistance from start to finish. This continuous tension makes every part of the curl challenging. To perform it, set the pulley at the lowest point of a cable station and attach a straight bar, easy bar, or rope. Stand tall, grip the attachment with palms facing up, and curl the weight upward until your biceps are fully shortened. Lower it back down slowly, resisting the pull of the stack. One reason this exercise is so valuable is the strength curve. With dumbbells or barbells, gravity means the hardest part is usually the middle of the curl. With cables, the line of resistance matches your arm angle better, so the biceps are loaded at the bottom, middle, and top. That means more fibers are recruited through the full range. It's also flexible. Switching grips, wide, narrow, rope, or single handle, lets you emphasize different parts of the arm. For example, rope curls allow extra supination at the top, giving a stronger contraction. Where many lifters go wrong is letting their elbows drift forward or leaning back to move more weight. Both reduce bicep activation and turn the move into a shoulder exercise. The best results come from keeping your elbows pinned, your body still, and focusing on smooth, controlled reps. The cable curl is often used as a finishing move, but its constant tension makes it just as useful as a main bicep exercise. It's an easy way to pump the arms full of blood and lock in growth without needing heavy loads. The easy bar curl is a classic variation that reduces wrist strain while still building big biceps. The angled grips of the bar put your wrists and forearms in a more natural position compared to a straight bar, which makes the movement more joint-friendly without sacrificing intensity. It primarily works the biceps brachii, with strong support from the brachialis and forearm flexors. Setup is straightforward. Stand tall, grab the bar with your palms angled slightly in by the bends of the bar, and curl it upward until your elbows are fully flexed. Lower it back down under control until your arms are straight. Because the wrists are turned in, you'll feel less pressure on the joints, while still keeping solid tension on the arms. The value of this exercise comes from efficiency. You can usually handle more weight on the easy bar than on dumbbells, and because the grip is easier on the joints, most people can train harder without discomfort. EMG studies comparing curl variations also show that the EZ bar curl activates the biceps nearly as much as a straight bar curl, while reducing strain on the wrists and elbows. A mistake many lifters make is letting their elbows drift forward during the curl, which reduces biceps involvement and turns the move into more of a shoulder lift. Instead, think about keeping your upper arms pinned close to your sides so the biceps are carrying the load from start to finish. In all, the EZ bar curl is straightforward, effective, and safer for long-term use. That combination is why the EZ bar curl is one of the most popular arm exercises in gyms worldwide. The spider curl is a strict isolation exercise that zeroes in on the short head of the biceps, the part that makes the arms look fuller from the front. By setting the arms in front of the body and letting them hang straight down, the shoulders can't assist, which forces the biceps to carry all the work. Here's how it's done. Lie face down on an inclined bench set around 45 degrees with your chest supported and arms hanging freely toward the floor. Hold a barbell, easy bar, or dumbbells with palms facing up, then curl the weight upward until your biceps are fully shortened. Slowly return to the starting point, making sure you don't cut the movement short. The unique benefit of spider curls is the combination of a full stretch at the bottom and a peak contraction at the top. Research on muscle hypertrophy shows that training a muscle through a lengthened position creates strong growth signals, and the spider curl delivers exactly that. With no momentum and no help from larger muscles, the biceps remain under constant tension throughout the lift. A trap many lifters fall into is going too heavy. When the weight is excessive, form breaks down and the curl turns jerky instead of smooth. The exercise works best with moderate resistance, steady control, and higher reps, which quickly build up a deep pump and improve the mind-muscle connection. As a finishing move in a workout, spider curls shine. They refine the inner portion of the biceps, add detail, and complement the mass built from heavier compound curls. The reverse curl looks simple, but it plays a key role in arm development because it trains muscles that regular curls often miss. Instead of focusing only on the biceps brachii, this variation strongly targets the brachialis and the brachioradialis. Begin by holding a barbell, easy bar, or dumbbells with your palms facing down. A pronated grip. Stand tall, brace your core, and curl the weight upward until your elbows are fully flexed. Then lower it back under control until your arms are straight. Keeping the wrists locked in this overhand grip is what shifts the tension away from the biceps alone and spreads it to the forearms. The advantage of reverse curls is that they strengthen muscles often neglected in standard curling. The brachialis in particular pushes the biceps up higher, making the peak appear more pronounced, even though it sits underneath. The brachioradialis, meanwhile, is a major forearm muscle that adds visible thickness when trained. One thing that often goes wrong here is grip fatigue. Because the palms face downward, the wrists and forearms tire quickly, especially if the weight is too heavy. Choosing moderate loads and focusing on control gives better results than trying to match your regular curl numbers. Reverse curls may not build the biceps peak directly, but they round out arm training by targeting supporting muscles that complete the overall look of the arm. They also carry over to pulling strength in sports and daily activities, making them a smart addition to any routine. The Bayesian curl is a cable exercise designed to keep the biceps under constant tension, while also stretching them at the start of every rep. It mainly works the long head of the biceps, the outer portion that helps create the peak, and it does so in a way most free weight curls can't match. The starting position looks like this. Attach a single handle to a low pulley, stand facing away from the machine, and hold the handle with your arm extended slightly behind your body. From this stretched position, curl the handle forward until your elbow is fully flexed, then lower it back slowly to the stretched position again. The mechanics here also matter. The biceps have two main roles: bending the elbow and turning the wrist. By starting from a stretched position, you maximize the elbow flexion roll of the long head. The cable also provides steady resistance throughout the motion, keeping tension where dumbbells would normally let off. A mistake people run into is letting the elbow drift forward as they curl. When that happens, the arm moves back into a neutral position and the long head loses its stretch. Keeping the elbow pinned behind the torso is what makes this variation stand out. The Bayesian curl isn't as common as standard curls, but lifters who use it often see noticeable improvements in shape and stretch. It's one of the best modern variations for maximizing tension where free weights can't. The 21st curl method is a high-volume bicep training technique that combines partial reps with full range motion to create maximum fatigue. It doesn't just build strength, it builds endurance and pumps the muscle full of blood, which is key for growth. You start with 7 half reps from the bottom up to midway. These burn the biceps in their stretch position, where most people are weakest. Without pausing, you go straight into 7 more from midway to the top, locking in that hard squeeze at the peak. Finally, you grind out 7 full curls bottom to top, when your arms already feel like concrete. That's 21 total reps, hence the name. The benefit comes from hitting the biceps in different ranges. Overall, 21S are best as a finisher. Drop them at the end of your bicep session, and you'll leave the gym with a pump that feels like your sleeves shrank 2 sizes.